The music provided for this episode of the Tom Retro Chronicle is brought to you by the song called Art Now by the artist called Alex Broza. To check out more PodSafe music, check out dig.ccmixter.org. Oh yeah. A 1, a 2, a 3, 4, 5. It is the Tom Retro Chronicle with your host called Tom Retro.
Looking good, baby!
Tom Retro is also known as the Retro Guy and has a very interesting angle on things like sports, music, movies, books, and pretty much mostly life. He has a WordPress account, a very funny Twitter account, and overall a very interesting guy. Yeah. And also has very interesting interviews like me, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. So let's head it to our very own very special host called Tom Retro. Welcome to the Tom Retro Chronicle. I am taping this on a very sunny, beautiful day here in Fargo, North Dakota. And I am taping this on the 8th of May of the year 2013. And this is episode 23, I believe. Let's see. Yep, it is 23. Pretty nice number. I agree. All right. Well, in terms of content for this episode is pretty much I'm going to be talking about going back in time from during my college years, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about finals. I think I probably did talk about finals somewhere down the road a while ago, but I feel like talking about it again, so I'm going to do some Alma Mater tales first. Actually, might do that next, but I got some a little bit some news currently going on in my life, so I'll talk about that as well, to some degree, I suppose. But yeah. So pretty much finally spring, summer is pretty much here, as most of you who live around the area has noticed. Pretty much about a month ago, we were still having snow, about 20 degree nights. Kind of chilly, but I wouldn't say that 20 degrees is cold. I mean, I've lived here for almost all my life, and essentially 20 degrees is not cold. I mean, that's pretty warm for me. I mean, if you go below zero, sure, it's probably going to get a little bit cold. That, of course, is the temperatures are in Fahrenheit, not Celsius. For those who do watch or listen to this podcast around the world. And just so you know about that. So, so a little bit some news in terms of my life going on right now. As you probably know, I'm now an employee for Kohl's. Pretty nice place. I'm definitely excited to work there. Essentially, they have me doing POS training like yesterday, so I did that for a good few hours, and I'll be doing job shadowing, and then eventually they'll set me out to be at a register to ring up people's merchandise. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. In terms of the learning experience, I think most of those stuff is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I did most of the stuff at Herberger's. I'm pretty much now doing at Kohl's, so it's not really the the retention is not really that much of a big difference, but it's nice to it's generally nice to relearn something that we haven't done for a little while. So yeah, I've got that going, and I decided to, you know, I mean, I already have the job at Kohl's. I thought, might as well think about trying to uh, see if any radio stations would actually try to return my emails or calls. So I decided to email some of the radio stations around the city, and pretty much to my not so much big surprise, one station actually contacted me back. Not to say that radio stations don't care. I think they're either fully employed, or maybe they just don't really care all that much. But pretty much also just only one station called me or contacted me back, and that was Y94, which is it's in general a top 40 format radio station. And knowing me, I'm into the classics, but in terms of new music, I think it's starting to get a little bit better, but it's nowhere close to being where I would probably say to myself, yes, yes, I think new music is better, but I'm a fan of music either way. If in general, if a song has a good melody, that's more than enough for me. If it's something that I can dance to or something that I like, then certainly I would absolutely love it. And one example that I suppose I've kind of gotten into was Justin Timberlake's new album. Mirrors. Mirrors is probably one of my favorite songs right now. Um, yeah. So got that going for me. They asked me to send Y94 asked me to send air check and a resume to them. So which I pretty much did once I got done with my training last Thursday. Which was the 2nd of May, for those who are listening to this in the future. Um, so I sent them an air check, and so they'll be pretty much either going to contact me back for my job interview or such. So, I think they said a couple weeks, and they're just loading up on people's resumes and trying to see back. Hopefully I'll get contacted back, so that I don't have to, so that I don't have to keep on trying to force my way into trying to get into something that I want to get into for the rest of my life and such. So hopefully they'll contact me back. I'll be excited if they do. I'll pretty much respect the whole decision if they don't want to hire me. So it's pretty much up to them, I suppose. But I like it. And the position itself is basically a night jockey who can handle pretty much from the hours of 7 p.m. to midnight on weekdays. So in general, it's a pretty good way to start. So I'm pretty excited for that. So anyway, in terms of news, I don't really have all that much else to think about. Currently going on an apartment search, so I can't really talk about that all that much. But
but I'm gonna probably be living in a new place sometime next month. So you have to hear back from me sometime in June. I'll talk about my new place and such. That hasn't been a real. There are a couple of places that I kind of like so far. So I'll be probably making a decision pretty fairly soon. So anyway, yeah. So let's get into some alma mater tales, and can't really think of anything all that much else to say in terms of other things I want to talk about all that much. So anyway, let's get into some alma mater tales. So currently, right now at MSUM, my alma mater, my former place of college of study, is having a thing called a study day. Now, essentially, a study day happens the day after the last full day of classes at the college or university. I always call it a college, but it's pretty much a university. But essentially, a study day is a day devoted to students who, want to study. I mean, the title itself is pretty self-explanatory. It's a day devoted to the students who want to study, and pretty much as a resident in the dorms, it usually pretty much means that pretty much the whole dorm has to be fairly quiet. There's a couple hours. There's a couple hours in between devoted to vacuuming your room or having a little small chat in the hallway. But in general, it's either be quiet or you'll be pretty much written up by the resident assistants, or RAs for short. So in general, it's pretty quiet during the week when finals are going on. And looking back on last year's study day, a couple of weeks earlier, I got my brace removed, which I apologize. I missed the week. I messed up the week that I managed to get that brace off. It was a week earlier than I thought it would be, but my apologies. But anyway, a couple weeks, I got that brace removed. Pretty much, I went into doing some studying during the morning, I think. I'm trying to remember what time I got up on that day. It was, usually I woke up about around, like on a normal day, if I didn't have a class on a particular day, I probably wake up maybe like around 9 a.m., 10 a.m. or something like that. 10 a.m. to me was fairly good for me to wake up. So, then me and a friend of mine and RA, we went down to partake in some activities down below, which was outside, which was actually pretty nice outside. And we had a taco in a bag. We mingled with a bunch of people that we knew. And then we went on to go to Keezy, which is our cafeteria, sometimes notorious cafeteria, but I didn't mind it anyway. But So we went to go eat there for a little bit. Then we went um, to the library, which was pretty much in its last year of looking the way that it was when I started going to school there in 2007. Um, yeah, they were starting to begin renovations for a new library, which I'm not sure if it's going on right now, but if it's if the renovations are going on right now, they probably are going on right now. So definitely can't wait to see that library building, by the way, but that new one anyway. But where was I? Yeah. So we had cake. We had some cake to celebrate the library's like going away party or something like that. So then we did that. We did beanbag toss. We did God, what was the name of that game? Shoot. I can't remember what it was called, but in general we did beanbag toss. We wrote on the walls, which they allowed us to do, because normally the library would say absolutely not in any given situation normally, but we wrote on the walls. So yeah, in general, last year's study day went down pretty good. And then I think my memory is somewhat lacking right now, but what I did next, I think I went back to my dorm room to do some studying. I think I'm trying to remember. I think I probably did have a couple finals on the next day, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah. So pretty much towards the end of the afternoon and into the later evening, about around 10 o'clock p.m., they have this thing called a late night study breakfast for those who pretty much spent most of the day, studying, working on projects and such. In general, it was an event where students can get basically one last good meal before they start with their finals, and pretty much I thought it was one of the better feasts of the entire school year. I thought. And I pretty much went to these things pretty much every semester just to get the good food and also get the chance to win some prizes, which, if I remember right, I didn't really get any prizes, but a friend of mine who is also getting his, I'm not sure if it's his master's, but he's currently going into graduate school, so I think he's going to get his graduate degree, I think, so not sure about that, but yeah, he's going to graduate not this upcoming Friday, but the Friday after that, but which I'm going to go to anyways, just to see him graduate and such, so that would be cool, pretty cool to see. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. But one time I was with him, which his name is Ian, I believe. Really big movie guy. But anyway, he already had an iPod, and he won like uh, oh, I'm trying to remember what exactly the smallest one of the bunch is. It's like a gig of space. Actually, it might have been 2 gigs, but he didn't want it, so he was like, do you want to have this thing?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I pretty much, I don't know if I still have it or not, but it pretty much ended up being one of the more cooler things that I have had for a while. So then I went on to get I'm not sure if it's a Nano, but I went to that, and then I went on to getting a iPod Touch, which I love the iPod Touch, by the way. But so that was one experience that I had. But last year's late night study breakfast, which it was actually pretty good. So I was sitting with a couple of freshmen that I knew from the previous school year, and towards the end of the whole experience, they decided they were calling out raffle tickets, and the last one, if I remember right, it was about a couple of numbers off of what my raffle ticket was. I can't remember what the margin was. I think it was off by 5 numbers. So I was like, "Oh man, you gotta be kidding me, man! Really? Shit!" I was like, so I couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. The freshman friends that I was with, but they were like, "Oh, I feel so bad for you," but I thought to myself, well, I didn't really need anything. I think there was a TV. I think there was a TV there, but I think someone took it, but from the raffle ticket. But so there was that, and yeah. Oh well. So I thought to myself, oh well. But in general, finals itself, there were basically five days devoted to finals, and how they were structured were basically a day you had 3 finals times, one at 9 o'clock, one at noon, and one at 3 o'clock. So it kind of really depended on what day you had a particular class. Like, for example, like if you had a class that was going on at around 9 o'clock on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, you would have a final for that particular day, like at 9 o'clock and such. Probably the most confusing part that most people could never quite get was the 10:30, 11:20, or the 10:30, 11:45 times, and I think usually those are for the noon slot, even though the 10:30 is in between 9 o'clock and noon. So I never could quite get that. So, but in terms of night classes, pretty much night classes met on the day that they were being held. Like if you had a Thursday night class, your night class would meet on that Thursday night. So, but in terms of the Wednesday night classes, I don't remember what the procedure was for those, but usually those those finals usually happen on the night of study day because most people didn't want to stay for a whole week just to get through one final. Which, some people usually just only had one final. I didn't, but you certainly had one of those people that pretty much had, maybe like a couple classes who ended up having a final. I wasn't one of them because pretty much I had 22 credits last spring because I wanted, no, actually 23. Uh, but in general, pretty much I had a final from Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. I didn't have any on Wednesday, and pretty much once I got done with my last final on Tuesday, I pretty much spent most of my time moving out of my dorm room because I was going to be graduating, and they allowed a couple more days for those who were going to be graduating. So pretty much from Wednesday, Thursday, I pretty much spent most of my time moving out of my dorm room. So in general, looking back on finals, I mean, if you study enough for class and you pay attention to the lectures at class and you didn't miss most of the class meetings, you were gonna do fine. If you screw up on the tests, that's pretty much your problem, not really the professors. But if you stay at least in a C range for a grade and you do good, like get a B on the final, you'll pretty much pass the class anyway. So in terms of the first semester, the first year of college is pretty much the most important that you'll ever have because of the GPA and such. So also with the GPA, but like other things as well. Pretty much if you survive the first year, you'll be alright for pretty much the rest of your college career. So in terms of my GPA, God, I think it was like 3.18 of GPA, so grade point average. So pretty good, but not quite enough to get the tassels and such that normal the more gifted students would get. So in general finals were probably the most biggest time cruncher that you will ever have as a college student. Certainly being in a college where you didn't have a lot of students and a lot of teachers. Certainly MSUM is not the NDSUs, the Harvards, the USCs of the world, but it was a good college to go to, and I might have to do a WordPress post on my time there, since pretty much on this upcoming Saturday it's going to be the 1-year anniversary of when I graduated from college. So definitely pretty excited for that, to remember that. So yeah. Um, trying to think of some other stuff, but I think I might have something else to mention as well. So let's talk about that. So pretty much, my biggest place to hang out in terms of my preference. I kind of like Applebee's. Why do I like Applebee's? I mean the food is pretty good. The food is really good. I mean it's high quality food for a pretty good price. The service is usually pretty good, especially to the Applebee's where I usually go out to hang out, which is about a good couple minutes drive from here. But yeah, I absolutely love Applebee's. I'm sure it's pretty different from other restaurant chains, but they have their own identity, which is neighborhood, the neighborhood quality to it. Like it's the whole everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Trying to steal a couple lines from Cheers, but it's essentially what it's like. It's it's a neighborhood friendly atmosphere where you can take your boyfriend and girlfriend, and have a good time. I mean, it's a good place to go to. But some of my memories going to the one where I go to, which is the 13th Avenue South location, right next to the Ground Round in Fargo. Um, I mean, usually on every Saturday me and my mom, because we still go out to we still go out to eat on Saturdays, which is kind of our thing that we kind of like to do, just to talk about stuff and such. So one of the experiences, um, um, my mother accidentally looked at a menu, and and while our waitress was taking our orders, my mother said, "Why does this have ice cream on it?" And she pretty much read that wrong, and I was like, "What?" and then and then once you looked at it again, it said nice cream, not ice cream. So so pretty much, I don't know what my feeling was at that time, but I felt, boy, I feel bad for the mom. I feel bad for the waitress, but so pretty much after that, um, ignoring myself, ignoring me, she went up to get her order. And I was like, "Hey, wait a minute, where's my order? Do I matter?" And pretty much everyone, like, I mean, my mother, and the waitress, pretty much, we found it was a joke. We laughed, so we were still recovering from the ice cream moment, so it was pretty funny. But um, so yeah, apparently our waitress is also a pretty big Red Sox, Celtics, maybe Bruins, maybe um, she might be a Patriots fan, but I'm a Packers fan, so we have that some sort of a difference between us. So, but yeah, she's basically, our waitress is pretty cool. So um, she almost seems like my sister or something like that. I don't have a sister or anything like that, but it was kind of weird. But Alright, this is getting awkward. Anyway, alright, sorry for the short podcast, I suppose. I can't really think of anything else that I really want to talk about. Pretty much the NBA playoffs are going pretty well to my expectations. Unless the Heat are playing the Bulls in Game 2 tonight on TNT. It could be a very interesting series if the Bulls can pull off Game 2 against the Miami Heat at American Airlines Arena. So we'll have to see what happens with that. So I might actually talk about that maybe sometime next week if the Bulls pull off maybe the most shocking upset in the playoffs of this year. So that might happen. I mean, I still have the Heat win the title. I still feel that the Heat will win the title this year. But it could be a very interesting storyline if the Bulls pull off Game 2. And if they do, the Heat are pretty much going to be in very, 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 very big trouble. Anyway, I'm thinking about doing another podcast sometime next week, maybe on Wednesday. I'll have to check my schedule and such. Not sure if I'm working on that day or not, but we'll have to see what happens. Keep checking back to my Twitter account for updates about the show, even though I don't update much about the show itself. But stay tuned. And I will see you all next week. And thank you for listening to the Tom Retro Chronicle, episode 23. And I am out of here. Peace.